he really wasn't where it's at. After he took from you everything he could steal. How does it feel? How does it feel to have you on your own with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? Ah, princess on a steeple and all the pretty people, they're all drinking, thinking that they got it made.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. If we could go ahead and get our seats, we're going to start the program here in just a minute. So please take your seats. Thank you very much.
And the language that he used, go to him now, he calls you, you can't refuse. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. You're invisible now.
A hush comes over the crowd. Good morning and welcome. It's great to see so many familiar faces and lots of folks who have made a significant contribution to this wonderful undertaking we have that surrounds us. My name is Frank Finneran, and I'm the chairman of the board of the Seattle Convention Center. Have been for longer than I care to recall. Some of you weren't even born when I started this back in the 80s. So anyway, we're here to celebrate the completion and the opening of the addition to the Seattle Convention Center, henceforth to be known as Summit. Those of you that are industry fans will know that the building has 250,000 square feet of exhibit space. It's got 125,000 square feet of meeting rooms and a 60,000 square foot ballroom, which is the biggest between here in San Francisco and Chicago. So it's a remarkable edifice when you get a chance to take a look at it. We've also got 750 parking places. Rounds out the building at about 550,000 square feet of usable space. When stabilized, this facility will have a profound effect on the greater Seattle region. It'll generate about $260 million in visitor spending, about 4,000 direct and indirect jobs, and roughly $19 million in annual tax revenues. One of the reasons we're here today is to celebrate literally the dozens of people who have made a contribution to make this thing work. And there are dozens. And some of you, I'm going to apologize to if I miss calling attention to your role. I apologize, but I tried to assemble a list of the people who should be recognized here today. I will note that when we started this, and we started to strategize just how we were going to get our way through and manage this process, we didn't know that we would be looking at an expenditure of about $1.9 billion, that we'd have somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 contractors and subcontractors, and 200 incidental relationships with service providers. A humongous management task. And I'm going to turn my attention for a moment and thank the developer, Pine Street Group, for the job that they've done. And wearing their multiple hats as the project manager, construction manager, land acquisition leader, and entitlement leader. The entitlements may have been one of the more interesting accomplishments, as you know, and you'll hear about later in the program as we describe what we did in order to convince all of the people that needed to be convinced that this was a worthwhile project and needed to be undertaken. But I'm going to recognize some of the people by name, and there's a lot of them, so I don't want to bore you too much with this, but I'm going to ask the people that I identify to stand up, give a high five to the crowd, and then sit down, and then we'll give them a round of applause when we're done. So I'm going to start with Pine Street, and I'm particularly proud of the work that Matt Griffin, Matt Rosauer, Jane Lewis, Arnita Libby, and Jason Foley have done. Give us a high five, guys. You all are already impressed, but you will become more impressed as you get more familiar with the building, with the design, the layout, and the architecture. So I want to thank Mark Reddington, Chris Eastman, Ben Eaton, and Greg Grullo. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong page here. Leonardo DaCosta and Lori Naig for the design. Stand up. The joint venture of Clark Lewis is led by Gary Smith, Ben Eaton, and Greg Grollo. You guys take our look. We're very thankful to Monty and his team with the building trades. Monty Anderson, thanks for your help. You bet. As you might guess, we are inundated with lawyers and people like that. And I want to mention a few who have done a remarkable job and kept us on the right side of the road from a legal and technical point of view. First of all, I'll thank Becky Bogard. Then hold your applause and I'll get everybody down. I want to recognize Stacy Lewis and Jerry Johnson with Pacific Law Group. Stacy and Jerry, thank you both very much. Ryan Durkin, Holly Golden from Hillis Clark, Martin, and Peterson. Holly, are you here? Thank you, the ladies in land use. Gary Floor with Foster Garvey. Are you here, Gary? He's not. And then Fred Ehoff with Pacific Financial, PGM Financial Advisors, Fred, who's sort of led the parade on getting us the funds necessary to do this project with the bond issues and so on. I'm sorry if Fred isn't here, but thank that group for a marvelous job. I also want to acknowledge the superior efforts of our staff and partners, people already associated with the existing convention center who have extended their expertise and talents to make sure that this building is representative of what it has to be. And I'm going to start with Jeff Blosser, the president, and Linda Willinger and John Hogue, vice presidents of Convention Center. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Keith Hendrick with Aramark, Liz Bolstrom with Edlin, Joe Melancon with Smart City, and Craig Stunschauer with LMG. Thank you for your help. Also notable in assisting us in the planning process for years has been Visit Seattle, the team that runs the marketing for us and the rest of the city. And I want to recognize Tammy Canavan, the president, Zahor Ahmed, the chair, and the past chair, Tom Norwalk, who's been working with us for years. It's with a great deal of pride that I recognize the vision and dedication of our board of directors. Over the course of almost 15 years, they've taken all of the decision-making tasks to heart and have stayed the course, so to speak. There are some past board members who are also in that list and have all contributed to making the project a reality and a success. These members serve at the pleasure of the governor, the King County executive, and the mayor. They also serve without compensation. So that might give you the idea of the dedication that these board members have to making this happen. So hold your applause. I'm going to introduce them all. Darrell Brown Archie, I think is up here. Darrell Brown, thank you. She is House Counsel for Muckleshoot Tribe. Bob Flowers, retired Senior Vice President of WAMU. Susana Gonzalez Murillo, retired Vice President of First Interstate. Craig Schaefer, owner of Hotel Lola. And Terry McLaughlin, retired Seattle Center. Excuse me, that's not right. Terry McLaughlin is retired president of Seattle Basketball. And Taylor Huang, who is lead for Amazon Community Outreach. Please acknowledge the board and their work to get this done. There are a number of past board members in attendance, and I'd ask them to stand as well. Nick Bender, Nicole Grant, Jerry Hillis, Bob Wallace. Thank you all. There are a number of elected officials here today, and I hope to acknowledge them all, if I can find the list. Thank you. We're going to hear from Governor Inslee and Mike Pellicciati and Mayor Bruce Harrell and King County Executive Dow Constantine later in the program, but I wanted to recognize that City Attorney Ann Davison is in the room, Sarah Nelson, Andrew Lewis, Rod Dembowski, Jeannie Cole Wells, and Fred Felleman from the Port Commissioner. If you're here, stand up. It's extremely fortunate that we have this impressive array of speakers for us today. Governor Inslee is going to lead off. He wanted me to remind you that he's a Seattle resident, born and bred, and also that he's got the shortest remarks in the history of his public speaking. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all you've done for us, Governor Inslee, and welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Well, this is really an exciting celebration for a couple reasons. First, this is the first such celebration I've been to as governor where they thank the lawyers. This is a remarkably diverse crowd, and I appreciate that. But secondly, this is the summit of our noble efforts to make sure that the world knows the charms of Seattle and Washington State. We have been ranked the best place to live in America by U.S. News and World Report, and I agree with that assessment. We've been ranked at one of the top 1 or 2 places to do business and the top 1 or 2 places to work in the United States. And it is our noble goal, and this building represents a pinnacle and the summit of that effort, to make sure that every single person in the world has a chance to sample Ivar's clam chowder, Dick's hamburgers, and to go to the Space Needle. That is our goal, and this building will help us achieve it. I am excited about it. We're on the rebound. We're coming back from COVID. All we need is people. That's all we need in Seattle to make sure this is going to fly, and that's what this building fundamentally is going to allow us to do. Now, you ask why Washington has been ranked as the best place to live, and I would suggest it's for 2 reasons. One, we continually are investing in our communities and ourselves. This is a huge investment. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank, how about a round of applause for the taxpayers who put a few dollars in this place to make sure that this is working. And by the way, we're going to continue to increase investments in housing so we can reduce homelessness around this building as well this year in the state legislature. But second, we commit to our people and our working people. And the people I want to give a lift up to are the people whose hands and sweat equity and brilliant skills built this place. And that's the many, many unions that built this place with their hands. What they did here was extraordinary. They have created 1 million square feet of usable space to bring the world to Seattle, and they had 1 million hours of apprenticeship so we can build the next generation of skilled people to continue to build this state. This is a remarkable achievement. I've been told the White House is even trying to figure out how we're so smart, and I just tell the White House, come to Seattle, that always happens. And that's what we're doing. So congratulations to the working people who do this. I want to give an honor to perhaps the most important person to honor today here, and that's Brian Phillips, who lost his life as a cement mason and plasterer in Local 528. We honor him, we honor his family, and we honor our continued commitment to the working people of the state of Washington whose personal contribution are building this state brick by brick, cement block by cement block. And I am proud of our state that we are continuing our effort to uplift the working people of this state with the best overtime rules, the best minimum wage, the best family and medical wage or medical leave policies in the United States. We believe in working people. We believe we're not at the summit yet, but we got summit fever. We can see it from here. Let's keep building Washington State and Seattle. Thank you.
So next on the list of people who have been helpful and been important participants in the process of putting this whole venture together is our state treasurer, Mike Pelliciotti. As you can guess, with all the money that's been involved in this and all of the dealings we've had with different entities, issuers of bonds and financiers and people in the financial world, our relationship with the treasurer has been pretty important and valuable to us. So I want to thank the state treasurer as I welcome him to the podium and appreciate your remarks. And I'm going to take my folder.
Well, thank you, Frank. And you know, we just heard as part of the governor's introduction that he was born in and raised here in the great state of Washington. You know, some of us come from other states coming here, and other states and other countries. And I think of a story for myself. I actually was first introduced to Washington State when I was joining my family who was here for a conference. That's what first brought me to Washington State. And you know, some decades ago, I was a freshman in high school, and I made up my mind at that point, I want to move to the great state of Washington. And to know Washington is to love Washington. And I think we realize that, and that's what I appreciate so much about the work of those connected with the Convention Center. Your job and your mission is to bring people to Washington. And good things come when you bring people to Washington, and it isn't lost on me the challenges that you all have had to navigate as a part of executing that mission. I mean, truly unprecedented challenges. COVID, hotel tax revenue going near zero, conventions canceled. I mean, the type of things that would be insurmountable to folks who aren't thinking about creative solutions, finding ways to make sure things can pencil out and ultimately move forward. And so I just appreciate the partnership so many of you have had with my office to pencil things out, to make sure things can continue to move forward and that we can achieve, what is ultimately the success that you are seeing here today. But I think it also speaks to the fact that a lot of things came together. Private financing last year to make this happen, but it also speaks to the market demand. And I think that we can identify, when the market identifies that there is support for financing an effort like this, it tells you that we can look optimistically to the future and what's going to happen in terms of filling this in the years ahead. And look, it goes without saying the economic growth that comes from this, the ripple effects, the revenue that comes back to the state, all of those things are good things that we can take pride in. But ultimately, I think it's what it leads to, which is welcoming the next generation of Washingtonians here to our state. As you execute your mission, bring more people to Washington. And I just want to wrap up in the same way the governor did, which is to thank the workers who built this. A lot of really talented folks helped pencil things out. We heard a lot of introductions and a lot of the folks who are here today who keep things on track. But ultimately, those who actually build things make things. And I want to thank building trades in particular and all of the workers who built this impressive building, and I think hopefully see it as a testament not only to their hard work, but something they can take pride in for decades from now. So thank you for the opportunity to join you and for all the work that you've put into this.
Thank you, Treasurer. We first approached County Executive Dow Constantine in 2011. So some of you were probably not aware of what we were undertaking at the time, but we asked the county executive for his support. This site was a site of the bus, I'm going to call it the bus tunnel. It wasn't a bus tunnel, it was a bus parking lot, and it had been sort of underutilized for decades. And we asked Dow for his support. He gave it to us enthusiastically, and he's been there throughout the entire process to help us when we needed. So welcome and thank Dow Constantine, our county executive.
Well, thank you, Frank, and thanks to everyone who has made today possible. As people have spoken, I've thought of more and more things I wanted to say, anecdotes I wanted to relate. I'm going to resist that temptation and just simply say that this is a remarkable day, an exciting day for our county, our region, for the state of Washington. It was more than a decade ago that we began this journey together. One of the advantages of sticking with a job like this is actually being able to see the things you helped get started be completed. And so I'm really grateful for the team that got us to this day. I stood with you in the fight in Olympia when we were seeking support to expand our undersized and overutilized convention center. And when that support was not forthcoming, we had a long struggle to make sure that we were able to secure the authority locally to be able to move forward with this very much needed building. And one of the roles I got to have then was to charter the new convention authority under the county charter. And I still have a photograph of that. Those of you who visit my office will see that proudly displayed in my office at the Chinook building. With the support of some of the county council members who are here today, and Councilmember Dombowski was actually here when we announced the site, and with the able efforts of then Deputy Executive Sung Yang and subsequently Deputy Executive Rachel Smith. We can't keep employees, and not without some considerable political pain, we moved the buses out of the transit tunnel entirely and off of this site, and we closed Convention Place Transit Station, and we conveyed a vast urban building site so that this building could rise from that hole in the ground. And, you know, there were some financing challenges along the way. When COVID hit and finances got tight, we were asked if we couldn't guarantee, you know, $100 million or so, which we're happy to do. Thankfully, the state treasurer ultimately was able to work with our team to get the financing done. And now, 4.5 years after we broke ground, this team has delivered a gem of a building that is a big boost for our region's economic prospects. And we at King County are proud to have been a stalwart partner in that mission. It is and will be well served by transit, and there is even more transit on the way. But whether you arrive by light rail or commuter rail or ferry or any other conveyance, all of those visitors are driving the broad prosperity that this center is intended to create. Good jobs for thousands of local residents and profits for local small businesses. I know, I put myself through school working in the service industry, working in restaurants, working in bars, and a lot of those folks were visiting our region, going to major events. It helped me be able to pay for college, and you know, a lot of my coworkers are folks who are continuing still, even at our advanced age, to work in the industry. Those out-of-state visitors come to the convention center have spent billions of dollars on food and drink and lodging and concerts, on plays and sporting events and souvenirs and harbor tours and wine tours and tour buses, Howard, and rides on the Great Wheel and the monorail and up the Space Needle and much, much more. Throughout this project, Monty, 6,000 construction jobs brought living wages to families when much of the construction industry was slowed down or shut down, kept people afloat during one of the toughest times we've seen. And we knew that in these moments of economic uncertainty, how critical this project was for our future. And that investment in economic opportunity is why King County has been a partner on all fronts to make it happen. But it's not just the economic aspect. This building also reflects the values of King County in its green building standards. It fits right in with our central priority to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and ensure that we're leaving this community and this world better than we found it. So as we look ahead toward another busy convention season, I know it's busy because I couldn't get a room here for my luncheon later this year, toward an all-star game, toward eventually the World Cup in 2026, we are going to be able to enjoy having this jewel of a facility at the heart of Seattle, and by Seattle, I mean the global shorthand for the entire central Puget Sound region. And when the visitors get here, King County and our partners at Sound Transit, at our cities, at the port, will be working together to make sure we're here with an interconnected mobility network to get everyone where they need to be, and that is right here at Summit. So congratulations, and let's get these doors open.
Thank you, County Executive. Mayor Bruce Harrell and his team have exhibited a strong support for the partnership that exists between the Convention Center and the city. We thank him for that, and we want to welcome him to the podium and thank him. Thank you, Mayor Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, Frank. Just one moment. I had some prepared remarks. Don't mention the All-Star game. Check. It's already mentioned. FIFA games. Check. Let me take that out to speech. We thank the lawyers. Definitely check. They were thanked. Welcome, attendees. This is indeed a great day. We are reminded of the critical roles that hospitality and tourism play in our economic recovery, and the culture and the arts. Last week I was in Washington, D.C., meeting with all of the mayors of the major cities and smaller towns, hundreds of mayors, and we talked about the challenges of economic recovery. And I had some bragging rights about our state leadership, our county leadership, our philanthropic communities, our culture and arts leaders, the people in the city and in the state. I had bragging rights. Many of you know I don't brag a lot. I don't, Dow. But if I am going to brag, it's going to be about the people in this room and the people in this city, not about myself. So this is indeed a tremendous day. It worked because of teamwork, when things are working. That's not a big headline in our papers, right? The system is working. That's sort of corny, but it's true. When we look at all of the people here on the stage and in the audience, the private sector, the building trades workers from all our city departments to get this construction project from groundbreaking to the TCO, we did it, quite frankly. So I'm not afraid of cliches. You know, teamwork is a dream work. There's no I in team. You heard them all, but this is actually what it looks like. And I want to give a special shout out to our city attorney, Ann Davis. I know she was recognized, and our chief of police, Adrian Diaz. Now, darn it, these are tough jobs. Stand up, stand up. Yeah. I noticed that in the order of speakers, I think the order is not governor on down. I think it's descending order on who gets blamed the most for the problems in this city. Because we do know that it stops at our desk, right? And you took on a tough job, and you are certainly rising to the occasion. I think we all have to acknowledge that, and our chief of police, thank you. Quite frankly, I'm bullish on downtown. I believe in our downtown. I believe in revitalization. I have to go out there and do the hard work. And in this beautiful facility, you can see this beautiful city from all angles. I think whoever had the vision, the architectural vision, the philanthropic vision, the civic leadership vision, when someone had it in 1962 and they started erecting the space station, whoever had this kind of vision, I'm certainly not going to take credit for that. But this notion of being able to see this great city from all angles, I mean, they really nailed it. And I have to tell you, that is what it's going to take to get the state, this county, and this region back, this city back, looking at it from a new lens, from a new angle. And quite frankly, from a new angle, we have 1,000 possibilities, and it's ours for the taking. Let me repeat that. It's ours for the taking to create the reality we want to see. In our administration, led by a former mayor, Tim Burgess, who played a role in this when he was on the council, in our administration, we are not afraid to make the bold moves to get our city back on the right track. And I have friends, important friends that I'm working collaboratively with, and so I think this symbolizes where Seattle is going. So I'll close by saying that the time is now to create a renewed downtown within all of the above approach. We will attract visitors, tourism, residents, and workers. And I said something yesterday when we passed out free Orca cards to Seattle Housing Authority residents, and it was quoted. I was glad that out of a 20-minute interview, they captured the essence of what I was trying to convey. That this city will not be the great city we could be. This convention center will not be the great convention center that it could be until we realize in the same breath that we value the high-tech worker and the high CEO or C-level person and their greatness and brilliance, and we recognize the beauty and the brilliance and the importance of the dishwasher or the food service worker or the janitor. That in this great city, we have to realize that all of our policies and our investments, indeed our hearts and our values, have to be embedded in that one Seattle, one state, one county approach. And that's the secret sauce of this region. That's why we're here today. So, I know this looks like my serious face. This is my happy face, because this is a great day for all of us to celebrate. And I was going to come up with in closing, one analogy using Geno Smith, our quarterback, as an analogy, but I was forewarned he hasn't quite gotten to analogy status yet. But I believe in Geno. So I'm going to give him one. We're going to start that in Seattle. He was a person that paid his dues when no one else believed in him, sat behind and watched others get credit. And then he rose to the occasion, always believing in himself. All of us here, we believe in Seattle. We believe in our county. We believe in our state. We're here for the long run. That's what today represents. Thank you very much. One Seattle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to echo some of the comments that I've made, it is our hope and dream that this building, just because of its stature and its quality and its breadth of facilities, will add and be an underpinning of the recovery of the downtown core of Seattle. So we're ready, willing, and able to do what we need to do in order to make that happen. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Darrell Brown Archie, who those of you who are on the board of the Convention Center know, and all of those of you who have worked with us. Darrell is the vice chair of the board and has served on some of the more important internal committees and has led initiatives while pursuing this building addition. So Darrell, come forward here and please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. First, we would be remiss in not acknowledging the indigenous Coast Salish people of this region whose land this summit building rests upon. Good morning. As Vice Chair of the Board, it is my pleasure to report on the Board's continuing commitment to equality and inclusion of our operations. Our Board has been committed to a policy of providing maximum practical opportunity to increase participation of minority and women-owned businesses in its operations and in its construction projects. You may not be aware, but the 1988 construction completion of the original Arch Building, bringing the freeway to First Hill, was the largest dollar amount ever spent in the Seattle business core by any developer. And in that project, $15.5 million we spent $15.5 million utilizing minority and women contractors. Today, it is my pleasure to share with you the extraordinary results achieved by this construction project in our developers Pine Street. The board's voluntary goal tasked Pine Street to achieve at least $80 million in real business for minority and women-owned business enterprises. And I am proud to report the data results of this work. Nearly $150 million in work scopes for Summit Construction were awarded to WMBE businesses, almost doubling the voluntary goal set by the board, which was $80 million. %30 were minority workers on this construction project. 32%. 30% were workers from priority higher zip codes, which exceeded our 19% goal. 22%, we had 22% apprentices, minorities. Over 1,400 people worked, 22% apprentices were on this job. That constituted over 1,400 people, and included in that were 34% minority and 12% women. We achieved 1 million in apprenticeship hours on this job. We did this with partners. We used the trade rotation program through Renew, and that program educates and empowers women and people of color and others who want to pursue careers in the business trades. We also partnered with Clark Construction Group and Lease Crutcher Lewis. And they were joint venture partners in the project, and they provided the expertise to grow businesses with underemployed residents in the area. They provided development opportunities for them. We also achieved these goals and these numbers with an ongoing collaboration with professional community advocacy groups that were instrumental in the success of this project's outreach. We used multiple chambers of commerces and community councils, neighborhood groups, regional contracting forum, Tabor 100, the Black Collective, the National Association of Minority Contractors, Washington Contractors, Designers, and Entrepreneurs, National Association of Women in Construction, Ethnic Chamber of Commerce Coalition, BIPOC Media, and governmental agencies and other our union partners. And we are very proud that this represents a collaboration with so many different organizations to make this work. And I guess we're here to say that you can have a quality product basically brought in within budget, and you can basically be inclusive. And finally, on behalf of the board, we offer our congratulations and our thanks for superb results generating civic benefits for the people of the community where the center is located. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Matt Griffin, who really needs no introduction, but here he is.
As you can imagine, it's pretty humbling to stand here in a big building like this that took so many people to build and so many people to develop. I look around the room and I can sort of think about interesting stories with about everybody here in the room. Some of them I can repeat, some of them I can't. But, in all the stakeholders, I'm pleased to be part of a Pine Street group that's worked on this now for almost 10 years. And I've had great colleagues. My colleagues from Pine Street group are here. Would you all just stand up for a minute so people can see who you are? Come on, Crystal, get up. Thank you. And it's a fairly small team, and it's a team that basically is successful because people do their jobs, and they take it seriously, and they care a lot about Seattle. And I'm thankful, very thankful, that we were chosen by the Convention Center to lead this effort. And in leading this effort, I can't miss saying that the Convention Center was the one who decided that this facility should go downtown. It should go within walking distance of the existing facility, and it should go within walking distance of the hotels. And of course, that's better for the convention goers. People like that about Seattle. But it also allowed us to basically take the energy from this building and help generate the activity on these streets that make downtown safe and active. And we couldn't have done that without that decision from the Convention Center. And then when you go the next step from that and you're building a big building like this in the downtown, you've got to be clearly careful that it doesn't become overwhelming. And the Convention Center allowed us and our friends at LMN to basically work hard to make a building that fit into the city, to be a good neighbor and a good basically partner in being a hub in this community, connecting to basic Capitol Hill and Lake Union. We're quite thankful for all that. I mean, it's something that all of us, and I think the people that worked on this job, whether it be somebody as a laborer or somebody at Pine Street or the architects, will walk by here forever and say, that's one of Mom's buildings, or that's one of Dad's buildings. And we feel greatly privileged to have that opportunity, in doing this, we had to obviously pay a lot of bills. Some of them we liked paying, and others we didn't like paying. $120 million in sales tax. We're happy to have paid it. Yeah. The mayor's happy to have paid it. To get through all the entitlements to do this in the downtown, as many of you know, we had to vacate 3 alleys. We had to vacate under Olive. We had to vacate under Terry. And besides paying for the basically fair market value of the land, we ended up paying $93 million in community benefits. And about $75 million of that saved the city's budget. Before you, but still good. But we're quite thrilled that we were able to put $40 million into affordable housing, something that's been important. Thank you. And something that's been important from the Convention Center for a long time. And it's something that we were always quite proud of. And in addition to that, putting money into the pedestrian way on Pike and Pine to increase that connection between Capitol Hill, the Convention Center, the market, and the waterfront. Our $20 million added to basically the money that came from the LID hopefully will create a pedestrian corridor that everyone likes. And as I often say, for the convention goers, They can come down at the corner of 9th and Pine, and they can decide to go downtown for something normal, or they can go up on Capitol Hill for something a little more funky. But I think those are great assets about the convention center. It's about how they celebrate what's here in Seattle. And then last, as we came to the finish line on this project, it was not easy. And, you know, I see City Light, SDCI, the fire department, all under the mayor's office, basically put on hats that said, we're going to try to help you get there. You know, we're going to try to help you get there. And we're lucky to be in a city where the people that work for government were able to say, we're going to help you get there as opposed to make your life difficult. It was difficult enough even with their help, but they helped us get there. And so I thank Bruce Harrell and his whole team, and Monisha Harrell, the senior deputy mayor, was especially helpful in getting us to that finish line. Finish line. As you know, there aren't many cities where you can say that. So thank you. Thank you. And then also, I'm especially proud of what we were able to do in sort of developing the workforce. Darrell talked about it. There are lots of people my age that are retiring. There are people retiring in the trades. We're quite thrilled about basically helping these companies and these people start their careers. Again, ones where we like them to say, you know, that's one of mom's buildings or one of dad's buildings. And in doing this, we had a workforce agreement with the building trades. With the Building Trades Council. And Monty Anderson was a key partner for us in negotiating that and then helping us make sure that we did that and got the most use out of it. So Monty, I hope you'll come next and talk a little bit about what you've done here with the trades and basically all the work that you've done with the workers here in Seattle to help this get done. Thank you.
Well, thanks, man. I don't know how much time we have. After 8 speakers, I don't know what's left to say. I feel like my thing is just all crossed out here. And I want to appreciate, first of all the hard work that went into this. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Brian Phillips, who lost his life on this job. We're going to celebrate him as a craftsman who got up in the morning and came to work. So we're celebrating his life today and the workers that also came here today. So get that out of the way. I want to thank especially the governor, because when COVID hit, we had a decision to make. You know, we had to go to work. We didn't get to stay home or have to stay home. We had to come to work. The governor decided that this was going to be a safe place for people to work. So the governor, then the exec down, all the way down to the mayor, all the way down to Matt Rouzier and Gary Smith, Elise Crutcher-Lewis, they all stood with us and made this one of the safest projects in the United States of America for hand washing, for egress, for how you took your lunches. Everything they did here is a model for the rest of the country, and I can't thank the governor and everybody else enough for making this one of the safest jobs for our workers here in Washington State. So thank you very much for that. You know, we talk about apprenticeship hours, and sometimes those are just numbers, but, you know, my father worked on the last convention center, so, you know, I realize, obviously, how it is to bring home a paycheck. And it's not just money. You know, it's a career. And, you know, Matt stole my line, but it's true. I do it now, and my dad used to do it. My grandpa did it to me, and I'm sure my kids are sick of it by now. But we drive around, I tell them all the stuff I built. Oh my God, right? And when we come into Seattle, my wife looks at me and she just shakes her head, and I'll go, and so you become your parents, I think, in one way or another, and that's me. I am guilty of that. I should have pointed all the things I did, but we couldn't do it without all of these partners. 1 million hours of apprenticeship hours, that was millions of dollars that stayed here in the city. Millions. And that money went to not only basic things like rent and car insurance, right, and food and basic things you need, but it gives people the middle class that they deserve, to buy new shoes for their kids, to go out and eat at these beautiful restaurants down here, right? Be able to go on vacation, go over to the Olympic Peninsula, go over to Yakima, maybe go skiing up at Crystal. That is what the middle class jobs here do. And without the people that were all up here on this table, we wouldn't have that. You know, everybody's trying to take your lunch every day in labor. and we know that. And we need partners, and that's what we have here. I'd like to end with, once again, thanking Matt for being a partner and helping us get this done. So I appreciate everybody's time, and thank you very much.
So thank you, Monty. We continue to be very proud of all of the things that have either been accomplished or will be accomplished or tangentially a result of this project. So it makes us all very proud. And we're now at the moment that we came here to do, which is so-called ribbon cutting. And I would like the following people to join the board in the head table up by the ribbon. You'll get, somebody will direct traffic once you get up here, but the following people should join the board: Chris Eastman, Mark Reddington, Tammy Canava, Jeff Blosser, Becky Bogard, Jerry Johnson, Stacy Lewis, and Jerry Hillis. Please come forward, and folks, and we'll see if we could get this done in a reasonable period of time. You're directing traffic.
Everybody for coming, all of the speakers.